welcome to our show. It is a freezing cold Tuesday, the 16th of January, and I'm joined by two lawyers, Dr. Shola Moshog-Bamimu and Nick Freeman. What about that? Two lawyers. Here's what's on the programme. First up, do we need to stop moaning about the weather? Many of you will be waking up to snow and ice this morning after sub-zero temperatures last night. Schools are closing, trains are cancelled, and people are working from home after warnings about dangerous conditions on the road. Should Brits stop moaning, though, when it comes to the weather? Give us a call. We'd love to know what it's like where you are. Do you think we just jam up when there's a bit of snow? Then, is Britain too welcoming to migrants? A French mayor has blamed the English for channel crossings, which led to 5 deaths at the weekend. He says migrants are promised the world in England, so we'll keep trying to make it to the UK. Do you agree with him? Is Britain too welcoming? Then, should unvaccinated children be kept off school amid a measles outbreak? Unvaccinated children in Birmingham are being sent home for up to 3 weeks after a national incident was declared amid the biggest measles outbreak since the 90s. Catch-up jab clinics are being opened, but in the meantime, should unvaccinated kids be stopped from going to school? Then I'll look at some of the stories in the papers and online, including a portrait of King Charles that's set to be displayed in every public building. At 11:15, the conversation continues with Storm, who'll be here with Yasmin, Alibi Brown and James Max. 12:45, Alexis Conran and friends explain exactly what your options are when it comes to mortgages, so do stay with us for that. So plenty to get through. We'd love to hear from you. This is how to reach us wherever you are, even on a girder above 1930s Manhattan. Oh, there I am in my dungarees. 020-7862-2222 is the number. I can spy Storm helpfully telling us it's 16p a minute from a landline. That's the key point of detail. You must be joking, says the man sitting next to Storm. And the fellow on the other side says, how about a mobile? Well, I got to tell you, that could be dearer if you ring us on the mobile phone. Still worth doing if you can afford it. 020-7862-2222. Then we have our socials, and we have, let's bring on the tennis ball here, some TikTok, X, which used to be Twitter. Least said about that, the better. Threads, Facebook, and the Gram. Just type Jeremy Vine on 5 when you're online. You'll find our brilliant team, and Coco wants her ball back. Okay, so panel, two lawyers. I've got to watch my step here, don't I? Sometimes lawyers end up suing each other? No.
Not often.
Never.
I don't think we practice the same type of law, do we?
No.
Is there a collective word for two?
A gaggle.
Is it a gaggle? I'm told it's a... Listen, on the internet, it's a squabble of solicitors.
Oh, wow. I wasn't far off. I didn't realise.
That sounds closer to because we agree to disagree and we agree to agree, and that's how
we never fall out.
Absolutely not.
What's the joke? What's the light bulb equivalent light bulb joke for lawyers? How many lawyers to change a light bulb?
A lot.
3. One to get a ladder, one to fall off it, and the third one to sue the guy who got the ladder.
What about the one to send the bill?
Yeah, exactly. 4 of them. OK. So, look, it's been a big night in the USA. There's a familiar face on some of our front pages today. I'll show you the Telegraph, which has got the latest here. And there he is. You remember yesterday Trump saying that we're going to win a victory against the creeps and the crooks and the perverts and the villains and the wrongdoers. There were 9 different words we counted. So he has stormed it. OK, these are just the starting votes in the whole runoff between Republicans. And it's quite clear, somebody said last night, the Republican Party is Trump Party now, completely.
Oh, most definitely.
He's wiped the floor with the other two.
And it's not a surprise. The results of the Iowa caucus is absolutely not a surprise because it is clear that the Republican base, the choice of Donald Trump isn't coming from a logical, rational place of, OK, let's look at what he stands for, what are his policies. Donald Trump's policy for the last, his entire campaign has been about him, and all of the convictions and charges that he's been facing. So, anyone looking at this will know that this base, this Trump base, I think that they are being driven by this whole, the election was stolen from us. We want to see another Biden-Trump go against, each other, because this time we're going to win. OK,
maybe, but the Republican base isn't all hardline right-wingers. There are some sort of just general conservative people in there who seem to think Trump has a better chance of winning. We should say he's beaten Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, but so overwhelmingly, I think they both had 17% or 17 and 19.
He has over 50%.
He was more than 50. So let's just see him speaking about his White House chances.
I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together. Whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative, it would be so nice if we could come together and straighten out the world and straighten out the problems and straighten out all of the death and destruction that we're witnessing. That's practically never been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon.
So he's changed his tune a little bit, even from yesterday, when we say we're going to take out the creeps and perverts.
Setting aside the sort of criminal allegations and the civil suits, he's a little bit like Boris, because...
A little?
Well,
of course.
He's just going to win, isn't he?
You think he's going to win?
I think he will win.
Because he needs to capture.
I think
as Shola says, it's not the party he needs to win, it's the country. And in the middle, there's like a 30% group of people who voted for him last time, and they think, we don't want to do that again.
No, he's going to win the Republican nomination.
Oh, for sure.
I think they do not care. This base don't care about the fact that he's convicted, he's been indicted, or he faces any of these charges. They don't care about that. In fact, a lot of his donations to his campaigns come on the days that he's about to go to court.
Yeah, but that, in a way, that's in the bag for him now. The question is, can he beat Biden? And I just don't know. I mean, Biden's a problem as well.
It's 50-50.
It really is.
No, you've got a country completely split.
Yeah.
And really what you want, particularly at this time, is you want somebody who's going to bring the country together, not divide it.
I think Biden's going to lose voters because of his decision on the Israel-Palestine war. He's definitely losing Arab Americans. He's going to lose other marginalized communities. They're stepping away from... And I am someone who has always battled for Joe Biden, and I'm telling you, anyone who thinks that people are just going to forget, because right now they can't tell the difference.
But those voters have got nowhere else to go.
You don't understand. People are getting to the point, just like the Trump base. They get to the point they're going, you know what? Damn the consequences.
Yeah, true. Okay.
That's where they are.
But it's more to do with the issue... Sorry, I was just going to say, the issue with Biden is staring us in the face, which he is very old now.
He's old and ill.
Very old.
Ageism.
No, it's not.
It's not a number.
It may be senility here.
Yeah, he's struggling. You know, you can be 80 being sprightly, or I think he's about 80, 79 now, isn't he? Or,
I'll
78,
Trump
79.
is old too.
The point is, hang about, Shola, but he acts like an old man. He's suffering mentally with. He's got early onset of memory problems.
Listen to yourself.
I am listening. But
that is, you're being.
I'm not being ageist. No, I'm not.
Here.
I'm not talking about.
Let me put it this way.
Shola, I'm not talking about his age. I'm talking about his condition.
Trump, who comes across as sprightly, says utter nonsense out of his mouth.
Okay, but listen,
you don't agree.
Hang on,
Politics.
Shola. Biden met the Brazilian president. When he was supposed to turn to the Brazilian president and shake hands, he turned in the other direction and walked into a flag. Nobody does, and he leaves the guy hanging like that. Nobody does that. And Nick is right. Something's going wrong with Biden. It's, bless him, he's 80 or whatever.
And nothing's going wrong with Donald Trump.
You don't agree with his politics, but from a health perspective, as far as we know, he presents someone in robust health, doesn't he?
Okay, separate thing entirely. Because Nick has been in the papers this week, and I wanted to mention this. And just telling the story of how you became a father again through adoption. Have we got the article with Nick in? Let's have a look. So this is lovely. Well, I just happened to see this. Mr. Loophole adopting a 13-year-old boy changed my life beyond all recognition. So it's your partner's son, correct?
My partner's son.
Lovely.
I've been bringing him up for about 4.5 years. I've got 2 elder children, 32 and 29, and I've now got a 13-year-old. So,
it's a lovely thing, isn't it?
It looks lovely.
He's, as he says, he said, your children were made by you. He said, I was made for you.
Oh,
okay.
He said that when he was 10. Yeah, and he meant it. And he's right. He's right.
Did you do you think there are things that you wish you'd done with your older children that you can now do? Like, go to the football or something?
No, I wouldn't do anything different to what I do with my older children, to be quite honest with you. Maybe I don't think I do very much different. But now I've got a bit more time and I'm a bit wiser.
Yeah.
And I've got maybe a bit more patience and maybe I'm a bit kinder.
But it says a whole lot about you what he said at the age of 10 about you. That says a whole lot. And that's not easy for any child to go, you know what, I accept you, heart, But yeah, you know, so this is beautiful.
No, it's lovely.
Well, also, he's not had any contact with his biological father for 11 years, so there isn't that conflict. It makes it much easier.
Yeah.
You're a father figure and a father.
How nice. And this nice tone, I know, will preserve throughout the programme. There'll be no argument between you two.
Between
you two lawyers.
We'll see.
After the break, we're asking if Brits should stop moaning about the weather. Give us a call now with your thoughts. 0207 862 2222 is the number. And yeah, apparently though, wrongly fingered on that, didn't do it. But so they say, who knows? Welcome back. We're live on Channel 5 with Shola and Nick. Later, we're asking if Britain is too welcoming to migrants. That's a quote from a French mayor. First, though, should we all stop moaning about the weather? We'd love your calls. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Arctic winds brought sub-zero temperatures to the UK last night, with much of the north of England, Wales and Scotland waking up to snowfall and icy conditions this morning. The cold spell has triggered automatic cold weather payments of £25 for low-income families in over 200 postcodes, and a severe weather alert has been issued for roads in the northwest. Various rail networks have warned of disruption to services across the week, and we're hearing of hundreds of school closures in Scotland and some in northern England too. It's sounding pretty seriously cold out there today, Nick. Do you think we've got a right to moan a little bit?
I think we should. Personally, I love the cold weather. I think as a country, we're not equipped to deal with it as other countries. I mean, you know, OK, it's a -3, -4. You go on into Europe and they have -15, -16, -20. Everything carries on as normal. There's no problem. The roads are gritted. Just everything's normal. So why can't we adopt that here? And it fascinates me with, you know, it's blue sky, sunny, beautiful air. And when you want your cold shower, it is really nice and cold and very invigorating.
Yeah,
and I know
I had one yesterday.
Yeah. So for me, I love
you like it.
Obviously, you have to drive carefully on the roads. You have to respect the roads. It causes some difficulties, but I think it's nice to have, and everywhere's much cleaner.
I think that if we Brits don't moan about the weather, we would have nothing to moan about, and it would put cups of tea out of commission.
Well, I was looking. BBC had this thing, gorgeous thing, where they said it's been 70 years of weather forecasts on the BBC. So I'll just show, because I just thought, oh, this is lovely. So we go back here to the mid-70s, and this is Barbara Edwards. 70 years of BBC weather. Let's have a listen.
Depression not so far away to the west of us. In this clearer weather, though, there'll still be some showers.
Isn't it great with the old map? And then, hang on, dramatic moment coming.
Quite a mild night, though, but a windy one. Then tomorrow, well, most of us should see some sunshine.
Look at that!
There'll be showers around.
She changed maps! So freeze it there, and with respect to dear Barbara, I will just scrub her out, and we'll just isolate this map here, and make it a little bit clearer around the edges, and we'll take it over here, and you can tell us what's happening where you are, OK? Because here's the map, the old BBC weather map. And we'll use this just to show what's happening where you are. So in Liverpool, for example, Simon, as Simon says, he's woken up to snow falling on top of the Beatles statues. So let's get some snow here. Beatles statue snow in Liverpool, right there. Then close by in Macclesfield, Lindsay has shared footage of a frozen canal that has snow falling on top. There we go, frozen canal, snow falling on top. Again, we're going to just do Macclesfield down there, all right? There's been a dusting of snow falling in Nottingham. I haven't got a dusting one, I'm just going to put the same, there we go, Nottingham. We're a lot sort of Midlands, northwest area here. No, that one's not working, let's try another. Oh, OK, here we go, let's do that. Right, there we go. And I mentioned that the cold weather had also triggered the automatic £25 cold weather payments from the government. These are for those who receive benefits already. So in Cumbria, Northumberland and the Scottish borders, as well as some postcodes in Yorkshire, Oxfordshire, Staffordshire. Let's have a look here. So go through those places again. We had Cumbria. We had the Scottish borders, didn't we? Let's see. Here we go. And we had, I love this. This is like the BBC 70s weather. OK, some in Yorkshire. and even down in the south in Oxfordshire, cold weather payments. If you're in those areas and you think you qualify for the payment, do check if you can receive it. I'll just add also the northeast, beautiful Northumberland as well. So around there, also in the south there. David's in Cheshire. David, how is it with you?
Oh, it's nothing. It's negligible. Just a dusting.
So it's a light dusting.
Not like when I was a kid.
Well, why is everything ground to a halt again?
I don't understand it. When I was 6, 7 years of age, I used to walk 1.5 miles on country roads, unlit, on my own, to school.
Yeah, those were the days, and you never got run over.
No. 2 other examples, right?
Yeah.
The house I lived in, got an outside toilet.
Is it an outside toilet? Yeah.
And when I was in my teens, I was in Oswestry Orthopaedic Hospital, and my mother and father had got on a motorbike, 60-odd mile, no problem.
So you were in the hospital and they visited you riding on their own motorbike?
On the motorbike, yeah.
Just one motorbike, or they're riding a convoy?
No, just the one.
Pillion?
And on a Sunday afternoon after he'd finished working on farm.
What's happened to us, David?
Well, I will not comment. We've got soft.
Well, that's that's what Nick says. Shola, have we gone soft?
Definitely.
No, I think what has happened is that we don't have the political will to drive the kind of change we need in infrastructure that will support our society during these, cold breathing.
Is that a euphemism for we've gone soft?
Well, I don't know about soft. Soft sounds more individual. I don't like the cold, right? And there are going to be some people who appreciate the cold more. Now, he's just said that his family, I think his mom, they were on a motorbike.
Yeah.
In the cold. Now, I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, oh my goodness, I'll be wrapping myself up.
We're too comfortable financially. A lot of people now, I know there's a crisis going on, but a lot of people, they've got the televisions, they've got the houses, the heating. When I was at school, we used to put water at the end of the bed, and in the morning, it will be solid ice.
Why did you put water at the end of the bed?
Just to see how cold it was.
This is like, we're going to be living in cardboard boxes.
It was fun. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course. And of course there was ice on the inside when I was at university. Hey, brilliant camera person Maddie from Norway. Also, we've actually got a map of Norway at an unusual angle, because you can give us the weather forecast or report from your own country.
Yes, I can. I mean, it's freezing cold here in Norway. So we have in Oslo, we're -19. And the further up you go, in Tromsø, there is -25, and that's pretty
Tromsø?
Cool. Yeah.
Where is your hometown, Maddie?
It is in Oslo.
So that's the hot bit, yeah.
Yes, that's the hot bit.
So Oslo's right down the south, interesting.
Yeah, just there.
And where's the famous Brooker, from the bridge that...
The bridge.
Yeah, well, maybe that's not Norway.
No.
Do you remember that? Sweden, wasn't it? What's the famous drama?
Really cold.
That's a brilliant... Yeah. I don't think it's on the map. -25 in Tromsø.
Yes.
I always call it Tromsø.
Tromsø.
Tromsø. Maddie, thank you. Can we do this every day? But the thing is, the whole point is, the trains are still running.
Yes, everything's still running.
Yes.
Everything's fine.
Exactly.
If you go to school, even if it's snow up to here, you go.
That's what I'm saying now. We haven't invested in the infrastructure to support.
But that's because we only have this for 2 weeks, right?
But aren't we always looking for an excuse not to do things? Don't we always want to? Oh, it's a bit this or it's a bit that. We're not going to do it. We can't do it. Computer says no.
We got Louise in.
Isn't that our mentality?
Louise is in Manchester. Now, how is it? Give me a weather word, Louise. Snow?
It's snowing at the moment.
Snow.
-1 degree.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going, but Maddie's just told us it's -25 in Tromsø.
Oh, God.
Manchester. So how is it out of your window? Have you looked out the window?
I have, yeah. The snow's coming down thick and fast.
Is it settling?
I'm hoping so, yeah, so that I can get out and about.
You're hoping it will settle?
Yeah.
So you can get out and about. What? Because have you got some good shoes?
No shoes.
I'm gonna need,
You watch
shoes.
yourself.
I've got good shoes, but I need to go out and do a few things today, and because I've got a disability, to find it hard to get out.
Well, good for you for making the trip, and I hope you're safe. I just remember, Louise, when I worked in Coventry in the Midlands in the 80s on a newspaper, it snowed like crazy once. I just walked into work. I walked in on the road. There's a car behind me beeping, I remember. And I'm thinking, I think most people now wouldn't come in. They'd just say, I'm cut off. Do you think we've gone soft, Louise?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, as a nation. I mean, I went to school in the 80s with a broken leg at 9. I mean, Nana, God bless her, she made me a knitted sock thing to go over my toe.
Yeah.
And we still have to go to school no matter what.
So you got yourself to school with a broken leg?
In the snow.
In the snow.
Yeah.
They don't make them like Louise did. No, they don't make them like you anymore, Louise. Thank you so much. Have a safe day. After the break, more calls. Should Brits stop moaning about the weather? Have we gone soft? Louise thinks so. David says so. 0207 862 2222. See you shortly. So we were talking to Maddie here about Norway and how it's minus 25 in Tromsø, and Maddie brilliantly was talking about. So I've just remembered a friend of mine's just literally been there this week, and she sent me this little film. Right, this is my friend Rachel.
It's incredibly cold and incredibly beautiful. This is the Arctic Cathedral.
The Arctic Cathedral. I mean, I can't. But the point is, I can't even hear it because of the wind. But that's weather. That's the minor, and they're still moving. You guys are still moving around.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. So I cycled into work this morning, as I do every day. People say, should you stop? No, of course not. And the only issue I had as I was just going to turn, I came up here, it was a Hyde Park, and I'm thinking, I suddenly realized this corner might have some black ice. So I just overtake that cyclist and slow down a bit. That's the only thing. Didn't need any panic, any drama.
Jeremy, do you put winter tyres on your bike?
Nope, I haven't got any winter tyres. I've just got a nice padded coat so that if I fall off, I will bounce. Yeah? Happy with that?
I wouldn't be cycling.
Well, but all of the viewers are ringing saying we're too soft. One of the other things that always comes up is why trains don't run when there's a bit of snow. And Network Rail Scotland has tried to answer this question with this animated explainer.
Snow and ice can build up to block points, the movable sections of track that enable trains to change lines. This can prevent trains from accessing certain routes or platforms, causing delays. Ice can even coat the electrified third rail and overhead power cables. This stops trains from drawing the power they need to run, leaving them stranded. Icicles on tunnels and bridges can sometimes cause serious damage to passing trains. Meanwhile, a sharp drop in temperature after a very wet autumn can cause rain to freeze in between the stones that support the track. When it thaws, the track can move.
No, I don't see a problem there at all.
But you see, but the question has to be, if they're able to point out what the problems are you telling me that decade after decade after decade, they've not come up with a solution or measures to prevent the risks of this happening? There's no political will.
It's the idea that there's a bit of ice on some points and you can't run a train. Why not wiggle them backwards and forwards?
How do all other countries operate?
Yeah.
Why are we the only country that literally comes to a standstill with the slightest problem in our way?
We may have, and this is the defence of them, higher safety standards. It's possible, because if you don't run any trains, no one dies. That's the starting point.
If you don't drive any cars, there's no car crashes.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Elaine is in Lanarkshire. Oh, hang on, let's find you on the map. Elaine, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
So I'm guessing you've got some snow there in Lanarkshire?
We've got a little on the floor, but we're expecting some shortly.
You're expecting some shortly? That's the forecast, is it?
Yes, so, that's the forecast.
And I'm thinking you're roughly there. If you can see me, just maybe right a bit there. Yeah?
Round about where that top pound was. No, a little bit to the right.
This is like the golden shot. Do you remember that? Yeah? How's that? Just say fire when you want me to stick it down.
Yeah, that'll do.
Brilliant.
That's just about there, yeah.
So Glasgow, Edinburgh, and you're in between. So the snow isn't... It doesn't sound that snowy if it's not settled yet.
No, it's -3 at the moment.
See, because these two are basically saying -3, we've got to get on with it.
Well, yes, we have.
Yeah. What do you think about the train video there, which explains that if you've got icicles hanging from a bridge, it could damage the roof of a train?
Yeah, but, I mean, there's no such thing as bad weather.
Just
it's bad clothes.
Bad kit. Yeah, well, that's what Maddie just said to me. Thank you, Elaine in Lanarkshire. We've got Chris, who's right the other side of the country, in Portsmouth. How's the weather with you, Chris?
Hello, Jeremy. The weather is we got sunny here. The temperature went as low as about -1. It's not that cold. I've been out and about this morning. I was walking around. Now, I've got cerebral palsy. We're all making a fuss over nothing.
So what I'm going to give you sunshine, Chris. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But just down a little bit from there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Also, I thought that these points on the railways, they had heaters so they could defrost the points to keep the things working.
Well, I don't. I mean, apparently Elton John has got a heated toilet seat. Why can't they install... Why can't they install that on the railways?
I'm not sure I want to...
It's basic stuff.
Dwell on that.
I'm sure you must be right. I mean, if you're a rail person watching that, Chris, I don't know if you'd go with it, really, would you?
Yeah. I just thought it was just excuses, and we just got to be rather a pathetic country.
Well, you run the trains until one stops. That's basically it. Thank you, Chris, and have a good day. Esther is in Cheshire. Now, I'm just looking at my different weather icons. What would be yours in Cheshire, Esther?
We do have snow.
Right, OK, that sounds pretty terminal. Has Cheshire come to a halt as well?
Round about where we live, yeah, it does.
Have you got... It's quite interesting, this, Esther. Looking at my map here, all the snow reports we've got are from Cheshire, Liverpool, Macclesfield, Manchester. All the reports of money being triggered by cold weather are from a little bit further north and south. That's odd. Have you got cold weather payment on its way?
We don't, but we are triggered in this area.
You're triggered. OK, so I understand. You're triggered, so you would be eligible if you were in that category.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say was in terms of Norway, I've travelled there quite a lot, and I didn't get to go to Cape North because of snow. So it did shut the road.
At last, we got some pushback on Norway. So they closed the road, did they?
Yeah.
There we are, Maddie.
But it would have had to be pretty bad.
The Norwegians are panicking.
To be fair, the snow in Honningsvåg, which is near Cape North, was as tall as me, and I'm not quite 5 foot tall.
That's not helping, Esther. OK, Maddie, you're off the hook.
Whereabouts in Cheshire there's snow, because I've got to go back there later on.
Esther, where is the snow in Cheshire? Nick's heading back there later.
About junction 18 on the M6.
Junction 18.
Not good.
Let's put that there. I know exactly where that is. There we go. Right there, Nick. So, Esther, thank you. Very good weather report. Loving these weather reports. Linda in Kent. We haven't heard from Kent yet. How are you doing, Linda?
Oh, it's wonderful. I've been out the garden in my bikini this morning.
So you've got...
I'm joking.
But you've got some sun. You've got a blue sky, have you?
A blue sky, sunshine, yes. I do think everybody's getting very, very soft. I do remember the winter of 62 started snowing on Boxing Day in 62, and we didn't thaw until March.
1964, we think, yeah. So
No, it was 62. Boxing Day of 62.
Nick's been told. Here we are. OK. And it didn't thaw till March. 63.
And I went to school.
Well, that's the thing. We had someone call earlier who had to go to school in the snow with a broken leg.
And the trains ran.
Well,
yes, I don't know what sort of trains they were back then, because I'm not an expert on trains, but I do know they did keep running.
I gather in Kent the sea froze for a mile offshore in 1962.
Yes.
And they still sent the boats out.
And the river. The river Medway froze.
Have you got any plans today, Linda, that you're going to be spending time in the cold?
No, not really.
Just gardening.
No plans to go out, but...
There we are. Well, brilliant weather report. Thank you. That's a fact. We've got almost, I'm going to guess here, Devon and Cornwall aren't badly affected by snow. They tend to get away, because as Basil Fawlty said, that's the Cornish Riviera down there. But doubtless there'll be more coming our way in the north. But yeah, whether we've just panicked early here.
I wasn't panicking.
No, you weren't. A panel aren't panicking. Thank you for all your calls. We think we may be too soft. Later, we'll go on.
Don't we have a different approach now? I mean, all the contributors have said we just get on with it, and they tend to be probably of a slightly older generation, closer to the end of the Second World War. Isn't the attitude now different? And isn't it, in fact, the truth? We are soft. We look for a reason not to do stuff.
OK, later we're asking if unvaccinated children should be kept off school amid a measles outbreak. After the break, we want your calls on whether Britain is too welcoming to migrants. That's the phrase used by a French mayor. 0207 862 2222. Too welcoming? See you in a mo. Yeah, there's a lot of facts here and none of them are interesting. Welcome back. Thanks for being with us this morning. Shola and Nick are with us. Let's remind you what's coming up on the show in a moment. Is Britain too welcoming to migrants? That's the phrase from a French mayor who said he thinks our country promises the world and it's why people keep trying to cross the channel to get here. Do you agree? Your calls, please. 0207 862 2222. Then, should unvaccinated children be excluded from school during a measles outbreak? It's what is happening in Birmingham at the moment. Is that right? Then a few more stories from the papers and everywhere else, including how retired doctors are helping tackle the NHS backlog from their homes. 11:15 Storm is here with Yasmin Alibi-Brown and James Max. 12:45 Alexis Conran and friends will tackle mortgages and interest rates. And this is how you get in touch. The number is, as you know, 020. And here's the brilliant Sycamore Gap tree as it was before it was felled. 7862 2222. Maybe that red sky will grow it back from the stump. So all I need to say is this. From a landline, 16p a minute. From a mobile, it may be dearer. And then we've got the socials, haven't we? Ready? So we've got Twitter, now X. And you can also get in touch with our team on Threads. Instagram, I'm getting into. Follow me there. Facebook, still like that. TikTok, fantastic. Do follow us on TikTok. And that's it. Yeah, they're all there. Just get a keyboard, get a phone, get a portable. Type Jeremy Vine on 5. And whenever you're online, you'll find us. Now, is Britain too welcoming to migrants? We're taking your calls. We'll speak to you in just a moment. This weekend, more than 180 people were rescued and 5 died while trying to cross the channel to get here. A French mayor, Jean-Luc Dubaillet, has blamed the deaths on the English government, who he says receive migrants too well by allowing them to find work here and offering them what he called monts et merveilles. So mountains and marvels, basically promising them the world. He's called on the French Interior Minister to bang their fist on the table to get England, i.e. the UK, to do more at a political level to prevent the crossings. So that's fascinating that he's spoken like this, Nick. What do you think?
I don't think blame is going to achieve anything. Pointing the finger, it highlights the problem. The problem is neither country can control the situation.
But is he right? Are we too welcoming?
I don't think we're too welcoming now. I think before we were, but I think there's legislation that was introduced last July, which is designed to make us less welcoming. And notwithstanding that, we've got too many people coming. There's new measures afoot which is planned to reduce the numbers by 300,000. Because there needs to be a cap. We're a small country, we're a small island, and we need a cap because otherwise our public services burst, and the people who are currently here can't cope. They don't get the benefit of the public services. So.
Is he right, Shirley? Do you think this mayor, we're too welcoming?
I think the mayor should wash his mouth out with soap. The United Kingdom is not welcoming to migrants at all, and the entire world should know this by now. We have migrants who are dying on in these crossings, and the reason why they come here is not because we're welcoming. They know that this country, the United Kingdom, criminalizes them, dehumanizes them. So for them to come here tells you how desperate they must be. And there's a connection here. Either they're coming from a former colonized country, they have connection in terms of shared culture, or they've got family and friends here.
Well,
he might not agree,
no,
but I listen to you.
Okay,
I listen to you. Okay, Thank you very much. And so my point here is, one, no, we are not welcoming to migrants at all. And two, migrants don't come here and are allowed to work without contracts or illegal. That even British citizens can't work
but
just
there must be
anyhow.
something that's bringing them
But
in.
it's desperation.
So
it's called
Nick's
desperation.
turn. It's Nick's turn
Is it now?
to speak. Yeah,
Thank you,
it's Nick's
Shola.
turn to speak.
Thank you. No, 75% of the people who come here are from war-torn countries, so they're not, they're not coming on a crusade. They're coming, and most of the people who come here would actually be granted refugee status, and we probably have the same amount of people coming here as the other high-earning countries, the other wealthy countries in the world. So we're no different in terms of the numbers we take, but they come here because there's opportunity here, there's perceived wealth, and some people, but the tiny minority come here because they think maybe it's a free holiday. But I think the majority come because they want a better life.
I think it's a free holiday. I think part of the problem are our own administrative issues. We do not create any safe spaces for them outside the UK to apply for asylum. Two, we take too long to process these things. And when we do get to processing them, a majority of them are allowed to come in as asylum seekers. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if we created safe places for them to apply, they would not have to take.
And when they're turned down, they would then come in a disorderly way, I guess.
Well, what is the portion of those who are turned down? Those who are coming here, you can only apply for asylum and refugee status when you come here. Yeah, but we're not making it. We are not creating the process and the safety.
Okay, I agree. The system's wrong, and it takes 5 years. The moment you're here, you will stay for 5 years. And recently, 2 days ago, there was a story of a gentleman in Birmingham who was actually on that plane going back to Jamaica. And do you remember all the people who were taken off? And, of course, he murdered. I don't know how many people he murdered. And people who read that think, why are we having people like that in this country? He should have been deported. The orders were made, and he's still here years and years after.
And we've got the Rwanda vote coming soon. So that's another. You can see it's kicking off inside Rishi Sunak's party. He's got two of his vice chairmen saying this bill isn't strong enough. Christine in Middlesbrough, do you think the French mayor is right? We're too welcoming.
Definitely. He's hit the nail on the head. I mean, make them welcome, we do. We welcome them, we make them warm, we give them clothes, we feed them. If you were running from a country where you were terrified, I think my first objective when I got to Britain would be, please give me food and keep me warm. But unfortunately, we're such a silly, soft country. They're demanding Wi-Fi, they have push bikes, they have phones. Now, this is not because
Shola wants to get in.
They're going to get killed wherever they live. We are too soft with them. They're on the Wi-Fi.
This is another story about being soft.
Friends to come over because it's such a lovely
hang on,
country.
Christine, let Shola get in. I very rarely say that.
That's actually.
You don't. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Oh my goodness, she filibustered you.
Christine, listen. I don't share your view, and I don't share your view because I do not believe that doing the very bare necessity of being a human to another human, in giving them food when they're hungry, making them warm when they're cold, and giving them a roof over their heads is making us soft. That is what any decent human being should do, particularly because a lot of these people are coming from war-torn countries. That does not make us soft. It's the right thing to do.
Christine.
From France.
They're coming from France?
Yes. Yes.
Does the dog need feeding?
How you can say we don't make them welcome, I don't understand. They're coming from tents in France. We put them in hotels. We look after them. We feed them.
Yeah,
we give
but
them
Christine,
money.
we put them in hotels and we give them food.
Them push bikes.
We give
and you
them,
say we're not
with all due
welcome.
respect.
Hang on, don't talk over her.
Yeah. Christine,
okay, the dog
is talking about both of us, Christine.
All right.
The reason why we give them hotels is to put a roof over their heads. And when you mention France, you make it sound as though every single asylum seeker that comes to France should stay there, or like we have no obligation. We've already said to you that a lot of asylum seekers, right, they actually stay in their neighboring countries. For them to come here when they know they are not welcome, they are already mostly not welcome where they're coming from. But because they've got a connection to this country. And, the United Kingdom doesn't get to start complaining when we've gone into all these countries. We've made a mess in their countries.
Okay, all right. Christine, where your dog's gone quiet. Where have you gone?
I'm here because I don't want to talk over anybody.
Oh, brilliant. All right, listen, thank you for your call. And I hope it was respect on both sides there.
I believe so. It's just
you didn't talk over her dog at all, no?
The dog, yeah.
Terry in Kent, hi.
Hi, you seem to be having fun on that today.
Well, yeah, always. Are we too soft? Again, every item today, are we too soft?
We used to be on, we always have been, charitable for other things. But the biggest problem is, which no one's looking at, is that over the last 50 years, we haven't kept up with the housing for the people. We haven't kept up with hospitals, expansion of hospitals for the people who live in this country. So now we come to a crunch where we've got people from other countries coming here, and there's nowhere for them to live. There's not enough hospitals to cover. Plus, people talking about, we've got to process them quicker. We've got to process. What's the point of processing someone if you haven't got the house to them to go into? If you've got to land up sticking back in that hotel,
understood.
They can't get a job because if you give them a job, they can't get a job because they haven't got a permanent home.
I'm guessing that the background to all of this is that the world is changing. There's a lot of war. There's climate change. There are a lot of people on the move. They're able to move. They're coming here, and we can't turn them all away, Nick, fundamentally. And that's not something we can really argue with.
As you said, the world has changed, and there are now more people who need a safe space, and they're not safe in their own country. So it's the duty of the rest of the world to accommodate them. But we are limited. And we need to deal with that.
Helen in Dorset, hi.
Hello.
What do you think, Helen, about this French mayor?
I think we should put the army on our beaches and we shouldn't let them in.
When a boat arrives...
There's no room in the inn.
OK, Helen, realistically here, the army on the beaches, a boat arrives, it's got 30 people in, it's shipping water, you push it back into the sea. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
OK.
And if the word got round that was what we thought, they'd stop coming.
But Helen,
I don't know.
Helen, last year, Helen, the number of crossings actually decreased by a third, and it's going to continue decreasing. So the government is actually dealing with that problem.
Can I ask
and
you?
they don't form the major part of the migration.
Helen, Shola's got a question for you.
Helen, when you make that statement, no room in the inn and we should push the boat back, do you put human faces or are they just a they?
I can't understand you.
Oh, you can't?
Well, hang on. She said,
are these human beings to you? Do you humanize the people on this boat when you say there's no room in the inn, push them back into the sea?
When there's the number of homeless in our own country that haven't even got homes, and they should come first. Where's everything gone where you look after yourselves first?
Well, we do have homeless, and we have people who are coming from war-torn countries. I don't think one cancels out the other. Well, the problem here is that we have systems in place. It doesn't
Helen's mind.
I think that there's systems in place that are denying our own people homes, denying them support, and also criminalizing, dehumanizing those seeking asylum here. We can help both if we have the right people.
So help both, Helen. What about that?
Right power and influence.
No, because we can't.
Yes,
the NHS can't stand it. The schools can't stand it. Where they're putting them can't stand it.
Isn't the problem,
absolute rubbish what that woman's talking.
Isn't the real problem you're complaining about the state of the country in any case, and whether there were people coming here or not?
Exactly.
Everything is really, all the stuff that we've just referred to is all broken. It can't cope. Exactly. So they're really a red herring. All they're doing is you're using them as an excuse to highlight the existing problems.
All right. You two agreeing on this now. 23 deaths.
You and I agree.
I'm not going to lose this opportunity.
Well,
excellent, my friend.
OK, so it's you two versus all the callers. OK. Helen, thank you very much. William in Oxfordshire. Now, William, different point of view from you. Your mum was a refugee, I gather.
Absolutely right, Jeremy. She fled her country when she was about 17. She ended up hiding with her crippled sister in a cave in Czechoslovakia. She surrendered to the Americans, who then took her and gave her to the British, who had displaced persons camps across the continent.
Oh, yeah.
You were put into a DP camp where you were processed. Now, it took 2 years for my mother to be processed, but when she had been processed, she was given the option of going to whichever country would take her, and that would have been Canada, America, UK, one or two others. But there was on the proviso that when she got here, she had to find work within 6 months or be shipped back home.
Okay.
Now, couldn't that sort of arrangement with DP cabs, I hate that terminology because it just sounds so ghastly, but places on the continent where they could be looked after and be processed, so they could go to their country of their choice.
And you say if you don't find a job within 6 months, you'll have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because extracting people in that situation would be difficult, I guess. But yeah, maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the way. We've got so many vacancies as well.
Yeah, we have loads of vacancies, but the problem, William, is when we say, right, you haven't got a job, you've got to go. How do they go? Where do they go? Well, how do you force that? And we don't force it, and that's the problem, isn't it? We've got lots of people who've been deported who are still in this country. Very, very few have actually been deported.
Thank you, William, very much. And we will talk a bit more about this after Alexis. Actually, Alexis, tell us what's coming up on your show.
Well, we've got plenty coming up on the show. We are going to be kicking off at 12:45. We're going to be discussing if you're being let down by your local services, which, ironically, you've just been mentioning. And we're going to also be debating if children are being turned into the so-called quote-unquote snowflakes. But we're going to be kicking off the show by talking about mortgages and interest rates. Now, there's a lot of confusing news out there right now. Financial journalist Adam Shaw will be here to make sense of it all. He's got some great tips that if you're struggling to make repayments, he's got some great tips that you can put into practice straight after watching the show. Now, if you're buying or selling or planning on moving this year, then do get in touch if you've got a question for him. You can email us, alexisconran@channel5.com. We'll see you all at 12:45.
Thank you so much, Alexis. So it's his French mayor. It's the reason we're discussing this guy, Jean-Luc Dubaillet, who says the British are offering monts et merveilles, mountains and marvels. Basically, we are promising migrants the world. Well, yeah, he may be wrong, but it's interesting that he thinks that, isn't it?
I don't know what he's been reading. Goodness, I mean, where has it been?
Well, this is a great country. In fairness, this is still a great country, right?
I'm sorry, it's a great country offering who what? It's not.
Well, until very recently, you get accommodation in a hotel, you get 3 meals a day, you get a spending allowance, you get a mobile phone, you get your heating,
you get deported to Rwanda, you get referred to, and
you don't get deported to Rwanda.
The point, listen, the point here is, for the last decades, asylum seekers and migrants have been dehumanized, authorized as the problem. They have been looked at, just as we've heard.
But you can see recently, the attractions of this country to people coming from overseas.
People are desperate.
Over and above France?
No.
Hang on, I'm asking Nick.
Me,
sorry.
If you said to me what I prefer, look, I'm English, so my family are migrants. If you looked at, sorry to answer your question, but if you look at the population of this country and go back 2 generations, what do you think the percentage is of migrants?
Again,
they contribute massively.
The point.
The problem is, look, the type of people who are coming in. Do they want to adopt this culture? Do they want to accept this country as their own, or do they want to just come and take, not contribute, and not be part of?
That is prejudice right there.
No, it's the truth.
No, it's not the truth. That's prejudice, and that's not even what we're
talking about. You two were shaking hands a minute ago.
I know. I mean, what the heck are you talking about?
Well, he obviously regrets it.
I regret it. You've just moved the dial of the conversation into bigotry and prejudice. You are making assumptions about these migrants who have come here out of desperation.
Okay.
And you forget to say that a lot of migrants do stay in France, and it's only a small percentage that are trying to get here.
I did say lots. It's an equal number.
You were shaking hands with him a minute ago.
I take it back.
You're attacking him.
Very much.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. But also, Nick, as you said, a family of migrants. So.
So what? That justifies prejudice and bigotry?
I just think.
What the heck are you talking about?
No, I just think he said what he said, and
nothing justifies that.
He said what he said, and then you went, he's a family member, so maybe he can't.
Well,
no, he can't.
No, I just think don't shut him down. Let's properly talk about it.
Shut him down if
we need to talk about stuff.
And that's what we're talking about.
Later, it's the papers and everything else. Find out why the over 50s reckon they're getting a bit too much stick in the workplace and elsewhere. After the break, we're asking if unvaccinated children should be kept off school during a measles outbreak. This is happening already in Birmingham. Should it happen elsewhere? 020 7862 2222, and we'll see you shortly. It's so miserable because in 2014 the word was minions, and now here we are, and it's climate change, and then the second choice is war. The word of the year for children, war.
You can't blame them.
Well, you can't. And then previously it was coronavirus. It seems like the world's getting a bit unhappier.
Well, one newspaper referred to this era as the pre-war era.
Yes, I saw that yesterday.
I think it was in the Independent or Guardian. And I thought, wow, fancy. I mean, that's not good. Not a good way to talk.
So we're just ending the pre-war era, and now we're in the war, or the war is coming?
No, they say the war is coming. They say we're out. The post-war's finished. We're now well into the.
It's like we've learned nothing from history. We're repeating it.
You want to double the size of the army, right?
No.
Well, that's what the lesson is. That's what the lesson is.
No, the lesson is don't get into wars. Don't come.
Oh, okay.
Don't create situations.
So be more Swedish.
Don't we need to get the right leaders in place?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't that the problem?
Like Boris Johnson and this waste of space, Rishi Sunak, will get us into war all in the name of, this will speak to our base, the politically illiterate.
Let's see.
I don't think you can hold Sunak responsible for what's going on in relation to any of the wars.
Okay.
No, I hold him responsible for aiding and abetting genocide in Palestine. So heck yes,
all right.
I blame him for that.
Now you've got to stop. Hold back. We're not doing that today.
I'm not going to respond.
All right. I know you feel very strongly, both of you, on both sides of that. Later, it's the papers and everything else we need to talk about. Find out who were the winners at the Emmy Awards. A very poignant moment there as well with Matthew Perry. Now I want your calls on whether unvaccinated children should be excluded from school during a measles outbreak. 020-7862-2222 is the number. Do call. Tell us what you think. Health chiefs have declared a national incident after more than 300 confirmed or probable cases of measles were identified in the West Midlands since October. It's the biggest measles outbreak since the 90s. Schools in Birmingham have started sending unvaccinated children home, telling them to isolate for up to 21 days. So-called catch-up jab clinics are being held in schools to vaccinate any children who may have missed out on both or either of the two recommended MMR vaccines. So, Shola, what do you think?
I think, look, I've always had the view that it's irresponsible not to vaccinate or give your children, the necessary immunization. I know that there are parents who use an alternative way of giving them immunization by getting them to get to fall sick with measles and something that would get it out of the system. But when we have a situation like this, I think it makes sense to try to protect these unvaccinated children, ensuring that they get the necessary jabs. I know that there are some parents who are very cautious about the MMR. I was with my first child, and because I had concerns about it, I got her the jabs separately rather than that one jab.
Some people did that,
yeah. But by the time I had my second and third kids, right, I just decided, because I was more comfortable with it, I gave them the MMR jabs.
The autism thing turned out to be totally wrong with MMR.
Completely wrong.
Completely debunked.
Scientifically proven. So it was just nonsense.
So let's speak to a friend of the show, Graham Brown, on this. So, Graham, you're in Birmingham Live offices today. Oh, very nice, I must say, because we usually join you in your sort of bedroom or sitting room. So,
are you objecting to that?
No, well, that looks swanky. So, what's going on?
Yeah, it's posh here in Birmingham. Unfortunately, yes, we also have some vaccination issues here. So, I mean, in general, the number of people who are being vaccinated across the UK for taking the MMR jab is reducing. I think it used to be about 88%. It's now about 84%, and the optimal position is more than 95%. In Birmingham, that figure is below 75%. So there's significant concern really that there's a increasing group of unvaccinated children, and they are in clusters. So if you are an unvaccinated child, and this is me surmising this, but I think it's likely you're more likely to be sat next to an unvaccinated child. So what's happened is the council is trying to address this. There's been letters that have gone out. I've had one from my child's school saying, don't send your child to school with measles, which is not unreasonable. But further to that there is this kind of a 21-day period. So if you are, for example, the brother or sister of a child that has measles, the advice is incubate for 21 days, because otherwise you're going to you're highly likely to get it, highly likely to be very contagious, and measles is stupendously contagious. So stay at home. That actually wasn't on the letter I got from school, but that's the advice. If there's every reason to think you're going to have measles, stay away from other people.
But there are two things here. There's stay at home if your brother or sister has measles, and stay at home if you're not vaccinated yourself. Is that right?
So that's that isn't the universal situation across Birmingham, but I think they are taking more extreme measures in areas where they're seeing kind of outbreaks. So the advice is, if you have a likelihood of getting measles, that you should be incubating.
Interestingly, this takes us back to before coronavirus and all the jab questions we did over that. If you look 2019, New York was dealing with this. They had a big outbreak of measles, and they took pretty severe measures. We can see an article here: unvaccinated children banned from public places amid a measles outbreak. So they actually decided to get, you got a card if you're vaccinated, and if you're not, you're going to be asked for your card. You can't give it. You're sent home. You're fined. What do you think of that, Nick?
Well, it's astonishing, because in my day, we just got measles, and then we were off for 2 or 3 days, and we went to school. We got chicken pox. We got these things. I'm not aware that there was a vaccine. There was a polio vaccine. I've got 2 jabs in my arm for something that was more serious. But we just got them.
You got measles. You got German measles or measles or...
I remember just measles.
And you didn't go deaf.
Measles weren't as bad.
Yeah. Okay.
I got measles and I got chicken pox. And
so you would go back to the old days of tetanus, polio, smallpox. Why not?
Well, no, you have the serious stuff. You get you need you have a choice, don't you? Right. But ultimately, every child I know took the vaccine for the serious stuff. But stuff like measles, first, I don't think you can force parents, and secondly, the idea of missing 3 weeks school and how many sets of 3 weeks do you miss? That's the problem, isn't it?
Measles, mumps, rubella, isn't it? Where are you on that? Because I regard those as serious illnesses, not for everyone, but maybe again we're in the school of hard knocks with Nick, aren't we? Just get them and get better.
I am very much in the camp that if there's a vaccination for a disease, I'm getting my kids that vaccination, that immunization. And even when my kids got the MMR, the chickenpox vaccination wasn't really being offered. I went out and I got it for them, because I'm not of the school of thought that, oh, no, let them just catch the disease. No, I don't want them catching it. That's the whole point. The Lord has given us the sense, intelligence to create immunization and vaccination, and we use it.
But He's also given us bodies which actually fight diseases.
But there's a reason why we're no longer in your time, when it was, let's just have a polio party.
We're in your time, Shola, but that doesn't mean it's a better time.
No, I'm just saying that we have moved on as a society, and being progressive in how we deal with diseases and viruses is an important aspect of
I thought
society.
that was where we were, but I'm listening to our other lawyer and maybe thinking again here. Denise in Berkshire, is anything happening where you are with the measles jab?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I've only just heard it today, but, there's a misinformation there that measles, after 3 days of having measles is globally one of the biggest killers across the world in children. Measles causes heart defect, it causes blindness. It's not German measles, it's not mumps, it's not scarlet fever, it's not all those other. Measles is a very dangerous viral disease. And the thing is that we're getting more and more people coming into the country who unfortunately haven't had the ability to have the vaccination. What the vaccinated children used to protect the unvaccinated children, but there are more and more unvaccinated children coming in, which is causing the problem.
Well, Denise, help me. Are you an ex-nurse or something? You know your stuff? Yeah, you are.
A long time ago.
Okay, so I can see you know your stuff, and thank you for helping us on the danger of measles. If I'm 12 and I'm vaccinated against measles, why would I worry if the child next to me is unvaccinated?
Because unfortunately, it's not necessarily the vaccinated children that need to worry. It's the fact the unvaccinated children, there's going to be an epidemic of unvaccinated children, and more children are coming into the country. More and more people are coming. It's not only children that get measles, but more and more people are coming into the country that haven't had the they're not been fortunate enough to be offered vaccinations in their own country. And it is causing an epidemic. And it's not necessarily the vaccinated children that are at risk. It's all those unvaccinated children that are at risk.
I understand, yeah. Well, at the moment, Graham, it's a big story in your area, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I totally agree with Shola about this, really. It is a big story in our area. I think across the UK it's an issue, but there are specific issues in Birmingham, and they showed their head in COVID vaccination time as well. The thing I really think is that I wish it wasn't a point of debate around immunology. You know, these people who have studied immunology for decades, and then all of a sudden someone comes along and has a Twitter account and they're able to take their view about it. I read earlier that the MMR vaccine has saved 4,500 lives. Now, imagine how many millions of 3 weeks off school you'd have had, or how much illness you'd have had in addition to that. 4,500 people are alive as a result of this. You know, we're all working now as a result of the COVID vaccination. This is the peak of humanity, vaccinations, and it's a stupendous area of frustration.
I know Nick wants to come back, but we've got to go to our break. Sorry. Thank you, Graham Brown, editor of the Birmingham Mail and Birmingham Live, for joining us. As always, after the break, it's the papers and everything else, including why the horrific Austrian sex offender Josef Fritzl could be moved out of his high-security prison cell and put into a care home. See you shortly. We'll get hot on the way. I think you'd have a problem with that, actually. I'm not sure you'd come back up again. Welcome back to the show with Shola and Nick. Hey, I discovered something yesterday I was quite excited by. For people over the age of 30, which I think includes you, Dr. Shola, they're starting to have nightclubs in the day clubs in the daytime, right? Okay. It's called Day Fever. They tried it out in Sheffield. Actually, we can see with the first one they had Vicky McClure, the brilliant actress, was on the dance floor. So, because she's involved with organising all this. So, and it sold out in minutes. So there they all are. Those are people of an age, but I mean, we're talking later on about people, you know, discrimination against the over 50s. We're not going to be impolite. If you want to get to bed early, that's fine. The guy on the right there is Johnny Owen. He's setting it all up, and and it's just going so well. They've sold out tickets in London and Bristol and other places. So what do you think, Nick? Would that appeal to you?
Fantastic. Yeah, because when you get a little bit older, now I'm just over 30, I don't want to go out at night time, particularly in the winter, which is when you tend to go to nightclubs.
I love that concept.
But it's great in the daytime, isn't it? What a fact. The only thing is, what time do you have to be tucked up? What time does it close?
I think, look, by 9 p.m., I need to be on either on my very comfortable bed or my very comfortable
9
sofa.
9 p.m.
Listen, with my duvet over me, crumbs of ginger nut biscuits and whatever.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that.
And some TV screen. That's where I need to be by 9.
So this is doors open at 2. Okay. Last arrivals 4 p.m. You've got to be on your way home by 10, I think, or maybe 9. And no one under 30 allowed it. And they played Gino by Dexys Midnight Runners. I mean, what's not to like?
What kind of music?
It's all the best music.
What's the best music?
Come on, Eileen.
That's the only thing that will
70s and 80s.
Yeah, it's Bowie. It's probably some Duran Duran. Yeah. It's all the stuff you love.
Stones.
No,
what would you want?
Beatles. I need some hip hop music in there. I need some swing,
You're too young
Jack
for it.
Swing. I need all of that in there, you know.
Well, you can. I think Vicky's only 40, so she's been saying, like you, we need some house music in there.
But the beauty of it is, it's safe. You go and have a few drinks. It's daytime.
No fighting.
It's ticking lots of boxes. You're not going to be worried about walking home. Probably
I like
no drugs.
You're
It's just
seriously.
it becomes a healthy way of exercising instead of something that's a bit scary.
That's it.
I know. In fact, that's the best form of exercise, dancing.
And I think I've heard somewhere they've had their first engagement as a result. Someone somewhere has met someone and proposed.
How
because it's also
in real life.
It's not so predatorial, is it?
No,
in the
it's not.
daytime, it's more like going shopping.
Yeah. Going shopping. Can you come with one of those wheel baskets? OK, time for the papers and everything else. Oh, the grim story to start with. This is a guy whose name I was sort of hoping never to hear again. His name is Josef Fritzl. He's Austrian. He kept his daughter caged for 24 years, is how the newspapers put it. And he then forced her to have his children, 7 of them. And there's, yes, thank you, Shola. He could soon be freed. But he's got dementia.
I don't understand how he's still alive. That's what I don't
88
get.
years old.
How is he
He's
still
88
alive?
with dementia.
Do you mean he should have been executed?
No,
or...
not even about execution. It's look, like you, I never expected to hear this guy's name or see his face on any papers ever again. So I just thought he would have expired in prison, like naturally. And why is he coming out?
Well, because he got a whole life sentence, he got a minimum tariff of 15 years, which he's now completed, and he now no longer poses a threat to society. He's a frail old man with dementia. The problem is, isn't it, the original sentence? It should have been what we would regard as a whole life sentence. Then
like
we
lock him up, he doesn't come out unless he's in a coffin.
Yeah,
but now legally,
he has got dementia, so I suppose that thing of when a person's personality changes, maybe they're not the same person as the criminal was. In the end, you're right. You just don't want to see his name again. Brings it all back. His daughter, his poor daughter's still alive, looking after her father's children, who are and under a new name.
And she got a life sentence.
Yes, she did.
They got a life sentence.
They have. We don't know whether he's going to be released. All we know is he's eligible for parole and he ticks all the boxes.
Nah, he should
this idea of he won't harm anyone.
Nah,
no,
that is
sorry,
such
it's
rubbish.
not just about that.
No. Yeah.
It's about we don't want to see his face again. Shola, in the Mirror, there's so the Mirror following up the Mail. The Mail's got this Robert Hardman book, and it's got some interesting stuff in it, if true, about the Queen being really cross that Harry and Meghan called their daughter Lilibet, which is the Queen's nickname.
And I find this entire conversation so utterly ridiculous. First of all, I mean, if you look at the paper, it says royal sources said Buckingham Palace was relieved and aides were celebrating. What exactly are you celebrating? First of all, the Queen does not own the name Lilibet. It predates her.
Sort of does.
She does not own. She has no comment. People, let me finish.
It's a nickname.
And yeah, my name is Shola. There are many people called Shola.
Yeah, but do you have a nickname? If your nickname,
but you're not, with respect, Shola, you're not Queen of England.
No.
Not yet. Not yet.
There's a reason for that. But the name Lilibet existed.
There is.
The name Lilibet existed before Queen Elizabeth.
All right.
And it is not about seeking permission. It is all about the fact that they have a right to name their child what they want to.
Can we just say...
They said they got her blessing.
Before you come in, just to be clear what the story is, Shola, hang on, is that the Queen is alleged to have told her aides, the only thing I own is my name, and they've taken that.
They make her sound petty and vindictive.
Shola, the whole point is they've lied. They lied because they said that they got her permission. Fact, they didn't. So if they're going to lie about... If they're going to lie about something so significant...
Who do you...
Well, no, they did say they got her permission.
No. Why would you believe this biographer over Harry and Meghan one?
I didn't...
Why would you believe...
Hang on, you have to credit...
Why would you believe this biographer...
Shola, just hold on. Let Nick complete a sentence.
Credit to somebody who is independent, who is writing a biography. He says that the name was not given with permission. If he's right, and one will assume, most people will accept he's right, where does that leave Harry and Meghan?
And then
where is their credibility?
No, where is the credibility of this person? Because when this story first of all broke out, and with all due respect, this child was born 2 years ago, there was side-by-side reports that said the Queen was happy, all right? And, you know, even if they did not get her permission... Let me finish. Great-grandchild. Even if the Queen did not give permission and they informed her that they're going to name their child, that is perfectly okay. She does not own a copyright over the name Lilibet.
Let's say sometimes when you and I are getting on, I call you Shoal, right? Now that's let's say I do, right? Whatever. And then I say to all my friends, oh, we've had a new kid and it's called Shoal.
Yeah.
And you'd say, well, that's weird. Why are you giving your kid my nickname?
No, I would not.
And I'd say, oh, Shola's delighted.
No, I would not.
And you'd say, no, I don't. That's the only thing I've got is
I do not own the name. This is a ridiculous conversation.
If I had a child called Shol.
The fact that, first of all, don't bastardize my name. Just call the child Shola. But the point is,
a more common name.
The fact that the Buckingham Palace is in any way supporting this ridiculous story.
The Queen.
It is ridiculous. She's dead.
Hang on. The issue here is, wait a minute, guys, Buckingham Palace are not attacking the book. which suggests that actually it might be true, right?
No. They're attacking Harry and Meghan in order to cover up God knows what story that's going to come out about Andrew or Charles or William. This is ridiculous.
All right,
they are stories. Those are stories, but this isn't also a story.
It's not a credible or even newsworthy
You're not going to agree. All right, but I always thought...
So do you think
she doesn't own the name
she gave
Lilibet.
permission or not?
I don't care if she did or not.
No, but I'm asking you, do you think she did or not?
I think
do you think
maybe
the guy's
she gave-
lying?
I don't think they are. And they have no reason to lie.
Oh, money,
They say they got her blessing,
money and fame.
which is not necessarily
Money
the same
and
as
fame.
corruption. What money and fame? Over a name?
I don't know anyone... I don't know anybody else called Lilibet.
Again, the name Lilibet predates her. It's existed before
it was
she
a
was
nickname
born.
given to her by her grandfather, George V.
So, and he did not own the name either. He didn't create the name.
But it's like the name Shoal. It only exists because it's, okay.
And you can name whoever you want Shoal, because that is not Shola. So
right, okay, all right. It's probably a bad analogy, but it's still on...
Terrible analogy.
Thank you. Still on royal matters. There's a portrait of the king, a new one, and we can see it, and here we go. This is the issue. There are lots of council offices, courts, schools, where we still have a portrait of the dear Queen. It's going to cost upwards of £8 million to replace them all. Do you think they should do that, Nick, or save money by leaving the Queen up?
Definitely put him up. He's the king.
Yep.
It's £8 million is a drop in the ocean. The royal family bring about a massive amount of income and revenue to this country. And it's right that, as he's the king, we should not have somebody who unfortunately has passed away. She has a place, but not in every school because it's now taken up by the king.
What would you do, Shola?
I would not have either of them up. I think the bottom line here...
Take down the pictures of the Queen.
Yeah, there's just
and leave a sort of what kind of stain on the wall.
I would not back...
Put Trump there.
I would not back any kind of funding of 8 million government-funded scheme when we have people feeding off food banks, for goodness sake.
It's an investment. It's an investment.
I listened to what you had to say. It's not an investment to see King Charles' face in council buildings.
But the issue, the issue is you're replacing do you replace the Queen? The way to save money is to do nothing, so you leave the Queen in lots and lots of buildings.
We do not need any of their pictures on our buildings. We already know what they look like. I'd rather that this money be used to help those in need.
Okay.
Period.
The only people who object to anti-monarchists...
The only people spend more money on them than bring
Nick,
the only people who object to anti-monarchists.
And so what? If you
I think Shola would probably self-identify.
And you probably fall into that category.
I could not. Again, I repeat, I do not see personally the point of spending money on putting somebody's picture up when there are people feeding out of food banks. Period.
You're speculating to accumulate, and the royal family brings in the royal family.
Shola, just a second. Shola, word.
Called you Roller. I'm sorry.
Did you call me Roland?
By accident.
Okay.
Shoal,
roll.
Honest.
Shola.
Shola rolling. Okay, go on.
No, what I'm saying is the royal family bring in billions in terms of income to this country, and this is just a small piece of that jigsaw.
We would earn that money with or without them. People would still visit all of those palaces. People will still come to this country to enjoy our culture with or without the royal family. Let's not get into that.
Look at the
8 million putting up Charles' face in buildings is a waste of money.
Look how many people watch the royal wedding and then compare that to the Danish wedding.
Danish?
Yes, Danish question.
Danish.
Yeah, they've had a change of king over there.
Yeah, I saw. I did. I did.
Okay.
He's kind of cute,
Nick,
though.
there's a story about a campaign to tackle prejudice against the over 50s.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I just fall into that category.
You do, I know.
Do you just?
What do you think of that?
Just probably a little
Well, tell us
more
what the
than
story
you.
is first. Well, how do they define this prejudice? You got any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm silent because I've never encountered it. I mean, I find that people are prejudiced because you're maybe stupid, you're slow, you've got no patience, whatever. But not because of age.
All right, hang on.
Age is very much a number.
But the article says 37% of those in their 50s and 60s have experienced ageism at work. The classic being, are you on Twitter to a 50-year-old? Oh, sorry, that's on the internet. It's a thing called social media.
And you know what's interesting? When we're having this conversation, what are the NHS doing now? What is it? Operation Emeritorious? Emeritus?
Yeah. Computerising.
No, they're getting back the old retired consultants to help out.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So you don't think there's any prejudice against over 50s?
I really don't. I
what
think
do you think,
there's prejudice against people who have problems, and that's irrespective of age. I don't think age comes into it.
I think ageism is real. I think that you will find aspects of our culture where, for instance, it feeds and intersects to other kinds of prejudice. There's the generation today is not necessarily as respectful of the older people as, say, our generation.
Or the younger people. Or the younger people.
So?
I'm not saying that, this is a widespread problem. I'm just saying ageism is a real thing.
But I mean,
that
someone who's 65 will have been a fan of the Sex Pistols. It's incredible, isn't it?
I think that you would even find in industries like media where you're not seeing as many older women be broadcasters.
I think older people have a wisdom that the younger people actually respect.
No, I'm not saying young people don't respect older people. I'm saying that we do see in our culture today that there are areas where older people are not given that immediate respect. I think respect is earned.
I remember the newscaster Angela Rippon, the great god of newscasting. In the 90s, John Burt, who was then the DG of the BBC, brought her in and said, Angela, you've got to understand your time has gone. It's by her account, OK? She was then shelved. She's now under... I think this is now a more benign environment for Angela, where people realise, no, her time hasn't gone. If she wanted to read the news, she probably could.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's back and, bouncing.
But again, it's all about perception.
Many years later. How many years later?
Yeah, 30 years after she was told her time was gone.
As long as body and brain is good, you carry on. It shouldn't make any difference.
The one annoying thing about over 50s, and I'm one, is when someone says... Yes, I'm 58. Someone says, can I show you a really funny thing I saw on social media? They get their phone out and they spend 5 minutes looking for it. No. Yeah. Can I show you a picture of my grandchild? No.
We might watch
Leave
the two
phone.
Ronnies, can I have what is it, 4 candles, please, or something like that?
OK, let's all just do an O. You won't even... This is not your joke, right?
No, this is so not my joke.
If someone says...
My thing is... Okay,
4 candles. What does it mean to you if someone says 4 candles?
It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, that's the thing. So it's a 2 Ronnie sketch, and he goes, I want 4 candles, please. And what was he? He was asking for 4 candles.
He wanted 4 candles, but he asked us 4 candles.
And
he was in a shop, and it was just very funny.
Yeah, I don't want 4 candles, I want 4
candles. It was clean,
candles.
funny humour.
Shola.
Look, I think
that's the best joke of all time.
Well, clearly that was way before that was way before my time.
Look it up. Look it up.
I am not going to
You'll love it. You'll love it.
Okay.
There we are. We've just been, shade has been thrown by Shola upon 2 over 50s.
I did not.
Because we did the 4 candles.
But
you didn't laugh properly.
I did.
You didn't laugh properly.
Like,
she hasn't seen it. To be fair, she hasn't seen it.
OK, we may have to fish it out during the break. We'll have more coming. We'll be joined by comedian Matt Green. We'll be talking to him about his new tour called That Guy. Plus, we'll be looking at the emotional tribute to Matthew Perry at the Emmys. See you very soon. So hello again, welcome back to the show with Shola and Nick. We're also joined by comedian Matt Green, who is also known as that guy you've seen being funny about politics. Welcome.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
We've just discovered that Shola's never seen the 4 candle sketch. I'm not, it's a generational thing, and I found it. So let's watch this and then see what we think.
Here you are. 4 candles. No, 4 candles. Well, there you are, 4 candles. No, 4 candles. Handles for forks.
Right, now... Sorry. No. Yes?
I think it was funny, but your reaction.
Well, you've got a comedian. Isn't that the best joke ever?
I mean, it's very good. It's a good sketch. It's a good sketch.
You're a young one as well. That's the trouble. Nick and I understand.
Well, yeah, there was
it doesn't get any better
because we know them. There are comedians.
Yeah, I've seen that
generation of comedians.
But Jeremy, it's so obvious that you were being tickled all over again. It's like you were watching it for the first time, so your laughter was coming from, and that's what was getting me.
But it's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple.
4 candles, but I don't. Okay, all right.
Handles for forks.
Yeah, handles. Yes. Yes. So let's see a bit of that in action in one of your latest viral clips talking about Sir Keir Starmer.
The Labour leader, Keir Starmer, is under attack this week for legal work he did before going into politics. I'm joined by the Minister for Innuendo and Dog Whistles, the Right Honourable Geoffrey MP.
What he did was revolting, and I'm glad we're finally talking about it. People need to know.
What are you particularly revolted by?
Well, Sir Keir Starmer spent all of his time representing criminals, people who did absolutely awful things.
Is that not just what lawyers do? Not all of them. I spent a decade working in law and I didn't represent a single murderer. But you worked in tax law. Yes, much more civilised. And you never represented a criminal.
I didn't say that. I said I didn't represent a single murderer.
So that guy character, tell us who it's based on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been making these little video clips for a little while now, and I think I like to think that character, the Right Honourable Jeffrey MP, is basically based on all of the ministers I've ever seen doing those sorts of interviews on these sorts of shows, Politics Live, that kind of thing, where it feels like every week there's a new minister that I've never heard of who's come on with their own slightly bizarre opinions, and they're always defending the government, whatever the government has said. So, yeah, that's how I've decided to sort of...
And they do... It's amazing how they do talk differently, isn't it? I mean... You know, so here, no one's wearing a tie here. If we had a politician on, they'd wear a tie. They're the last people in the country wearing ties. Why do they do that?
It's amazing. I spend a lot of time at home selecting which of my ties I'm going to wear. I never wear ties out of the house. It's only when I'm making those videos.
So strange. It must be, I guess it's to do with an older generation who want to see...
Uniform, respect.
Yeah.
This is what's expected of
you.
you.
I think it's part of the whole PR. This is how you must look, and then the colour of the tie. I mean, when you watch programs like West Wing, you see how they go, blue is the right colour because it speaks to a certain base. Red will speak to blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, who the hell sits down?
We had a guy with a tie on.
Into
Yesterday we had a guy with a tie on. Matt Stanley came in with a red tie, and I immediately thought he'd been at a funeral or something.
With a red tie?
Yeah, well, no, that would be true. Over Christmas, people may have spotted you in one of the Doctor Who specials. Let's have a look.
I'm here at the site of the Milton Wagner Steelworks, where residents have described an object falling from the sky. Some call it a UFO. What are you doing? Get off me here! I'm a member of the crane.
What I love is they've obviously watched you and thought we want him as that guy to appear in Doctor Who.
I like to think that that's what happened, yeah. I mean, when I got the script and I was asked to audition for it, I did think, gosh, this does feel quite like one of my sketches. So I was quite pleased by that, yeah.
Is it possible to be funny about politics when politics is in so much genuine, authentic chaos?
I think it's fun to be... I think it's possible to be funny about bits of it, definitely. I think the coverage is always funny. There's always a kind of chaotic madness about the coverage at the moment. And I think the fact that whenever things get extreme, they get funny on the edges, I think. Doesn't mean that it's not serious, but I think you can have fun with it, definitely.
We may have 5 more years of Trump coming down the line, so that's... And also, I think the funniest moment the last 2 years was when Rishi Sunak had to take over as Prime Minister, and he made a speech saying, "We thank Liz Truss for her service as Prime Minister. She's led the country through a difficult time."
Yeah, those 3 weeks.
It was quite a difficult time. So you're touring. When does it start, and roughly where are you going to be?
I'm going all over the country, and it starts right at the beginning of February.
Brilliant. Well, I love political humour, and there it is. There's the poster. Matt Green, that guy, on tour. Tickets on sale now. Do stay with us, Matt, because we're talking about the news here, which is right up your street. This is Justin Welby, this next story, and the Archbishop of Canterbury being urged to quit over support for Venables. Paula Venables, the person who was most to blame for what happened inside the post office with the postmasters, which is an absolute scandal. And it turns out that she was being considered to be Bishop of London, Nick, and we did sort of know she'd messed it all up at the time.
Yeah, I mean, solidarity amongst clergy, it doesn't do itself any favours, really, does it? I mean, what is Welby doing for talking like this? He's so misjudged the situation. I mean, the lack of comprehension, the lack of empathy for this, the biggest miscarriage of justice I think that this country's ever witnessed. And he's siding by someone who arguably has turned a blind eye and remained completely inactive about what was happening. She's not followed her duty, her role. She should have inquired, found out the truth, and brought justice about much quicker. And Welby is siding with her. So he doesn't do himself any favours, and he certainly doesn't do the church any favours.
But she knew the truth, though. She was part and parcel of the cover-up.
If you see her interviewed, she's saying, I need this answer, I want that answer, I want that answer. She was basically dictating the answers she wanted. So she obviously knew something seriously untoward had taken place.
Well, I mean, and I gather from the people who wrote the drama have said that they had to be very careful that it was factually accurate because they didn't want any legal action. So I'm thinking when I'm watching the drama, that's pretty much what happened. What do you think about it? I mean, she could have ended up... Can you imagine if she was now Bishop of London dealing with this?
It feels like one of these scandals now that's got to the point where everyone it touches is affected by it.
Ed Davey.
They're going to go back through and find anyone who had any connection to any of the people involved.
At the moment.
Yeah. Well, who do you think is most to blame? Or is it just one of those things where everyone collectively, they form a sort of protective scrum?
It's a conspiracy. Everyone protecting their own
I mean, there's definitely a conspiracy of cover-up, but I think without a shadow of doubt in my mind, the post office, Fujitsu, are to blame, and they should be criminally prosecuted. That's one. But then the ministers, the government ministers that fail to act on the complaints. I mean, clearly, anyone sits down and listens to one constituent go, this is what I'm going to, I've had to pay them this, I'm now destitute. Should have gone, wait, hold up a second. Who else is going through this? Let's have a conversation.
What about the lawyers who prosecuted these cases?
Yeah, the post office lawyers.
What do you think, Matt? Let's find out from Matt who you think is most to blame here.
I mean, I think it probably goes back to the system being put into effect in the first place, that they knew right from the beginning, from 1999, that it wasn't working properly, that Horizon was a dodgy system, and yet the government at the time, which was Labour, they said they wanted to go ahead with it because they'd spent enough money in it already, and it just kind of from the beginning it was the fruit of the poison tree, you know.
First article in Computer Weekly, 1999, saying this thing is falling apart. And it's hurting the postmasters. 1999.
But it took them 5 years.
Oh, yeah?
The Weekly, 5 years before they even picked up on the story, even though Alan Bates had been writing and reaching. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, they're all turning blind eyes. They had other people on it by then. OK, Nick in the Times. This is a dreadful story. Again, we're back with this thing. So I'm just going to play a clip, if I can, of the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, and he's apologising again for what happened in Rochdale, where young, mainly white girls were abused by Asian men.
And it is on behalf of GMP that I offer my heartfelt apology to all of those victims whom we let down so badly. I am so sorry that your childhoods were so irretrievably blighted and scarred with such profound consequences. One of the primary responsibilities of the police is to protect the vulnerable from the cruel and the predatory. And in this regard, we failed you.
What do you think of that, Matt?
I mean, it's just a horrible story, isn't it? It's one of these... It's similarly to the post office story. It's a story of large institutions not taking seriously people who are being, horribly abused in this case. And I think there's all sorts of reasons for it. I think people were not taken seriously because of the class, age, gender, race. There's all sorts of different ways in which this was a horrible story. And unfortunately, the suggestion is that it's kind of carrying on all around the country in different places.
Yeah. What's the words were beautifully spoken and obviously sincere, but what he hasn't told us is why. Why did they not respond? Under what circumstance can an officer who knows what's going on turn a blind eye? How does that happen?
I'll tell you
and what has happened to those officers? Have they not been criminally prosecuted? Should there not be an offence? I mean, there are offences, dereliction of duty, etc. But there are so many, the local authorities, the councils, were aware of what was going on, and for whatever reason, they decided not to act.
Well, I think, in my view, when you look at the convicts here, and you have this picture of them, the answer seems to be political correctness stopped the police making a connection between all of those convicted men because they didn't want to think this was a community-based issue.
They ignored the...
Is that right, Shola, or unfair
I
of me?
think that Rochdale exemplifies the structural misogyny, ingrained victim blaming and bigotry against the poor in this country, and that these young girls, mostly white, and because they are vulnerable and they didn't have the protection that comes with class and all of that, they bore the brunt of it. I mean, and disastrously so. I have zero interest in the apologies coming out of the mouths of the institutions
fair
today.
enough.
Let me put it this way. These apologies don't even go near enough. I think it's right that, of course, these grooming gangs, of course, have to be punished and they should be in prison. But all of those police officers, institutional people that let the students down should be criminally prosecuted. I don't just want heads to roll. I want people to pay the price for the decisions they made, that they literally sentenced these children to double life.
Now,
they weren't students. They were children in care. They were the most
vulnerable. Exactly. Nick, you had an experience yourself.
Well, I used to prosecute for Greater Manchester Police from 1981 to 83. And, you know, so I used to work from Rochdale. I wasn't aware of people burying their heads in the sand. I do remember discussions when I was there about Cyril Smith, but I was a young prosecutor and was sort of kept on the wing, so I didn't have any direct involvement.
Cyril Smith, but obviously, this famous Lib Dem, who turns out, by all accounts, to have been a horrible child abuser during his life, is long dead now.
So there was talk amongst the Crown, well, it was before the Crown, we were police prosecutors, we were actually civilian employees. There was talk then in my office about what was happening, and all we know is that not a great deal happened from illegal.
Okay, hang on, Shola, I need to move on. Sorry. I should say, by the way, Computer Weekly 2009, I said 1999. Shola in the Times, retired doctors coming back to the NHS, old guys and older women who are retired being called back. Why?
So this is the launch of this new NHS Emeritus Pilot Scheme. And I think that the idea is to bring these retired consultants who are in their 60s and 70s to kind of bridge the gap because of a series of strikes, in recent months. Now, I am not against, using, when I say using, but and bringing, skill set people back into the NHS. That's fantastic. But if they think that they're going to replace consultants, young medical doctors who are rightly protesting for better, work life and better job security, that to me makes no sense.
All right, Matt in the Mail, they've got the Emmys. Matthew Perry fans left sobbing after touching tribute. This is, of course, the Friends actor.
Yeah, they did an in memoriam, as they always do, and they sang a very sad song, and then at the end of the song, they transitioned into a sort of sad version of the Friends theme, which I think got everybody.
Well, this tribute to Matthew and others has gone viral. Let's see it.
I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too. 'Cause you're there for me too.
Oh, God, goosebumps.
Yeah, it is true. There's been some negative reporting about his life since he died, which is very unfortunate, and I sort of worry for the purity of his memory. Let's just put it like that. But I guess, people who struggle with addiction leave a trail.
Say purity of his memory, I think that whatever he's experienced in life that's him. It's human life, and we should celebrate him for all of his good
and talk of being hurt, then yes, you're right. Everyone has stuff.
No one's perfect.
Okay, all right. I never like to talk negatively about people who passed on anyway. The Bear wins the best comedy series. Let's just see this.
Yo, we good? Chef, we good? Corner! Chef, I can't hear you.
We are not good.
What?
We are not good, Chef.
No? What the are you talking about? What's going on?
I quit is what's going on.
Quit?
Yeah, Chef. This isn't on me.
What are you doing?
Good luck.
How is that comedy? Do you watch it?
I love The Bear.
I do
brilliant.
too.
It's not really a comedy, I think.
No, Storm, what's going on?
Succession was far funnier than Bear. By the way, a great series, really offbeat, brilliantly acted and deserves all the accolades. Comedy, though.
I think we're in a world now of genre mixing and stuff, so that I think Succession is basically a comedy disguised as a drama, and The Bear is basically a drama disguised as a comedy, essentially. And they've got the wrong awards.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, you watch Succession, Nick?
I watch Succession, and yes, there's it takes the mick out of itself a bit, doesn't it? That's not funny. Watching that, it's funny. There's nothing funny about
drama. I haven't seen The Bear, but just that clip, that's not. It doesn't strike as comedic. It's stressful. But I can kind of stressful.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to watch it now.
It's really good. Season 1 is much better than season 2, I think.
If anyone's worked in a kitchen,
you disagree?
it really gets the drama.
Say again?
If anyone's worked in a kitchen before, it really gets that intense drama of the kitchen, The Bear.
Yeah, it's like that
tension,
boiling point.
It's like boiling point is the same thing.
Have you got a good show? Because ours has been very good today.
Yeah, I do have a good show coming up, I hope. I'm looking forward to it anyway. I'm going to be joined by journalist Yasmin Alibi-Brown and broadcaster James Max. We're going to be talking a little bit more about those portraits of King Charles and asking whether you think that it's a good use of taxpayers' money. Shola certainly doesn't, but we'd love your thoughts on it. First, before that, we're also talking about whether we need to crack down on second homes. Do you live in one of these coastal areas where 1 in 4 properties are holiday homes? We'd love to hear from you. Perhaps you have a second home yourself. Would a crackdown just unfairly target those who are successful?
Good question. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Get your calls coming in now. Thanks so much to comedian Matt Green.
Thank you.
Whose debut nationwide tour, That Guy, starts in February. Do get your tickets now. And thank you as well to Dr. Shola Moshog Bamimu and Nick Freeman. Brilliant panel. I'll see you tomorrow.